coming up on Sportsnight.
The Lake Show is in the middle of their NCAA tourney run. Just how far can the Cats go?
Plus, Northwestern softball begins their postseason in Big Ten tournament play against the Wisconsin Badgers.
And Wildcat Baseball looks for a strong push to play in the conference tournament for the first time in 5 years.
It's almost Dilla Day, and you know what that means. A lot of fun and a lot of action. Just like on Sportsnight, right now.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Night. I'm Ryan Choe.
And I'm Lawrence Price. And Ryan, can you believe we get a second go at things?
You know, Lawrence, considering all the nice weather we've had recently, yes, I really do.
More importantly, though, we're in the middle of postseason action, and there will be many exciting games over the past week. Let's start with the Lake Show. Well, folks, you know what time it is. No, it's not Plays of the Week. We just got into the show. It's tournament time, specifically for the Northwestern lacrosse team. To start their run, the Cats took on the Central Michigan Chippewas. Let's roll the tape. Jill Girardi and number 4 Northwestern warm up for their tournament game against the Central Michigan Chippewas. And it didn't take long for NU to get on the board. Lauren Gilbert hits her defender with the jab step, finds Aaron Quakendahl for the opening goal of the game in the first minute. Central Michigan was able to bounce back, though, scoring 2 of their own until Brendan Dwyer scoops up the loose ball to tie the game at 2 apiece. Northwestern now leads by 1, and Lauren Gilbert does what we know Lauren Gilbert can do best. She adds some insurance to the Cats, and the Cats did not look back from there. Now back to Quakendahl. She gives her defender a shake and bake combo. She nabs her second goal of the game. And she wasn't done just yet. Tip pass, but Quakendahl scoops it up and puts it back in the net to give her the hat trick in the first quarter, and Northwestern jumps out to a 5-goal lead to end the first. Do you want to see some real speed? Lauren Gilbert shows off the Jets, pushing the goal total to double digits. And now, one of the best in the NCAA at drawing controls, Jill Girardi wins another one, says, "Thank you very much." And there was no pass necessary. Girardi goes from the draw to the net, coast to coast, whatever you want to call it, all by herself. She scores. It was a goal party in the second quarter, and first-year Sammy White wanted to get in and join the fun. She gets in on the action. She scores. And what's better than a 10-point lead? An 11-point lead, says Carly Mahoney. And the Cats, they go into halftime up big, 15-4. Coming out of the break, Jill Girardi finds the net once again, adding to the Cats' lead. And they say patience is a virtue, and it looks like Sammy White was blessed with it. She waits for the perfect moment to score here. The first year was named Big Ten Freshman of the Year a week ago. And now, into the fourth we go. Rutterstall takes her time, walks it up, and finds a cutting Kira Shanley to give NU 20 goals on the day. And Shanley wasn't done just yet. You see here, she brings it down as she would find the net for Northwestern's 22nd goal to put the nail in the coffin. Central Michigan would grab 2 more goals, but this game had already been over for a while. Northwestern would advance to the next round to face the Michigan Wolverines.
And so we go from one Michigan team to another as it's Lauren Gilbert seizing this opening draw control. And how about her lethal lightning quick as she gets the go-ahead opening goal of the game. The Cats would open the game on a 5-0 scoring run, in fact, but Jill Smith of the Wolverines here gets them on the board 5-1 in the first quarter. It would be a tightly contested game, but we see a sick play here. Gilbert passes to Brennan Dwyer. Ooh, froze the defender, left them in their ankles. Scores, gets past the goalie, Ariel Wiseman, to put the Cats up 6-1. Later in the quarter, a couple minutes later, Elle Hansen takes it herself here, driving solo and finds the back of the net almost easily. Got to be careful here. It looked like it could be a laugher early, but Michigan was not going away anytime soon. Here is Caitlin Mead splitting the defense for the score, weaving her way in to keep the Wolverines alive in this contest. They would also tack on another goal, and then right before the half here, Jill Smith scores and completes her hat trick with her third goal of the game, as the Wildcats took a 3-goal lead, 8-5, headed into halftime. Coming out of the locker room, it was more Wolverines offense. This goal by Meade capped off a string of 3 straight goals for Michigan, and the Wildcats found themselves in just a 1-goal game, but every time Michigan drew close, the Cats had an answer, and that answer came in the form of Elle Hansen on this one. It was her 15th goal of the season as she helped re-extend the Northwestern lead. However, Caitlin Meade of the Wolverines would leave the game with her second yellow card, so Northwestern is capitalizing off this woman-up opportunity, this time with Leah Holmes off the beautiful assist from Erin Kuykendall. We would head to the fourth, and Dylan Amonte rips the free position shot, her second from the exact hash, I might add, in this one to put up NU by 4. Still, this one wasn't just over. Michigan pulls within 2 after this crafty shot from Smith. That was her 4th of the game and her 15th of the year, as the Wolverines thought they were getting close here. But credit to the Cats defense, who were without Ali Palermo for the entire 4th quarter. In fact, they only allowed 1 Michigan goal in the final 8 minutes of play. And right here, it was Sammy White, the star first year, drawing the crucial charge, giving Northwestern the ball back with 90 seconds to go. And Erin Kuykendall put the finishing touch with an exclamation point of a goal here at the end of the game to send the Wildcats on to their quarterfinal match. And now we've got a fresh update from the shores of Lake Michigan. The Wildcats hosted 5th-seeded Syracuse this afternoon. The Orange eliminated Northwestern in last year's semifinal contest, and you better believe the Cats took it personally. Kelly Monty-Hiller's squad came out sticks a-blazing, completely dominating the game from start, en route to a 15-4 beatdown. Lauren Gilbert led all scorers with 4 goals, and the Cats traveled to Baltimore to take on the winner of North Carolina in Stony Brook.
Coming up, Northwestern softball looked to win their first conference tournament since 2008. Don't leave yet. We've got the highlights after the break.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Really? Buzz, what's up, man? You left some leaves burning out here.
Yeah, I just came in just for a second.
Come on, man. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. You could torch the whole neighborhood.
It's a good point. There's smoky.
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Sports Night. Ryan, take it away.
Thank you, Lawrence. Northwestern wrapped up their weekend stay in East Lansing for the Big Ten Conference Tournament. Northwestern faced Michigan last Friday for their semifinal match in the Big Ten Conference Tournament. The Cats went 2-1 in their regular season meetings and boast 5 conference first-team players, the Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, and Pitcher of the Year. All that was left is the conference tournament title, which they haven't won since 2008. Getting into action here, Northwestern facing the Wolverines after downing the Wisconsin Badgers 5-2 last Thursday. To start things off, top of the first, how about Danielle Williams catches Michigan's Lexi Blair looking with her first of 5 strikeouts for the afternoon. Bottom of the first, Jordan Rudd flies it out to center field, gets an out, but Rachel Lewis tags up and tries to go for a third base, but is called out. Originally called safe, but they went back to the review monitor, and as you see in the slow-mo, she's just tagged right before, so score still 0-0. Top of the 5th, Kaylee America Rodriguez caught stealing by Rudd. That was Rudd's 14th caught stealing of the year, and look at her fired up about that one. Later in the inning, a pair of walks and a fielder's choice brought runners to second and third base, but a wild pitch appears for the Wolverines, and it ends up with Ayanna Lindsay scoring the first run of the game. Northwestern takes a 1-0 lead. Michigan's Hannah Carson hitting a single in the top of the 7th with 2 outs left. She's able to sneak aboard the plates, and just 2 pitches later, Taylor Bump hitting a bomb to put Michigan up 2-1. Deep to left field, her 6th homer of the year. Northwestern just 2 strikes away from putting the icing on this cake in this match, but to no avail. We'll see Grace Nieto here later on trying to get a buzzer beater here late. Steps up, bashes it, but flies it out into catchable part of center field, and it was Michigan upsetting the top-seeded Cats, winning 2-1. The Wolverines would finish runner-up in the overall conference tournament to eventual champion Nebraska. Now, to help me out here, Lawrence, can you talk about what has led to the Cats' overall success this far this season, despite coming short in the conference tournament?
Thanks, Ryan. And yes, like you said, although they did not win the Big Ten tournament the first time since 2008, or if they did win it since 2008, we do know this. We got to break down the reasons why the Cats were so dominant all season, and that's because of their excellence in all aspects of the game. So Cats on the field and at the plate. When we go from starting in the outfield, and the 3 aspects, again, hitting, fielding, and pitching. And we're going to focus on hitting and fielding here for the majority of it. And so we're going to look at the 8 usual starters for the Cats. Looking at the outfield first, Rachel Lewis, the Big Ten Player of the Year. She's been so dominant at the plate, batting .366 and home runs. We always know she's going to have that. Fielding percentage .981, almost perfection, and almost at the same for Skylar Shellmeyer, the center fielder, batting .341, the one hitter always being dominant at the plate, starting things off. And then we go to Angela Zedak. Although her batting average is not as dominant as both Shellmeyer and Lewis, we look at the fielding percentage. We've seen multiple times Angela Zedak show off the gun or show off the arm in left field and throw out multiple players at the plate. So it's not always about just the hitting aspect, but more importantly, how much she gets it done and how crucial she is in the outfield. And now when we go to the infield, we go from right to left. Nikki Cochran at first base, batting .367 and having or stunning a 9.88 fielding percentage. Amazing from her. And then the dynamic duo of the freshman Grace Nieto and then the senior Maeve Nelson, both batting, or Maeve, of course, not as dominant, but in the 4-hole, a lot of home runs, continually producing. Grace Nieto, Big Ten Freshman of the Year, first team on the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, or as you know, she's getting it done in the infield. And also Hannah Katie not having the best batting average as well, but 9.17. When you can have both so many dominant hitters in the field, but also getting it done in the fielding wise, is so important, is so crucial. And then we go to the top fielder on the team, Jordan Rudd, batting .338 in the 3-hole, and also perfection at the catching position. We heard Ryan say how she has thrown out 14 players, and when you're at the head of your defense, you're going to need someone to get it done on both the offensive and defensive end. And that is exactly what Jordan Rudd has done. And looking at matching up against the Big Ten, 3rd best batting average, 4th best ERA, ran by Danielle Williams, of course, and then tied for 2nd best fielding percentage. When you get all 3 done so amazingly, that's why Northwestern's been so dominant all year. And that's why when it comes to the NCAA tournament, the best team gets all 3 categories done or is prominent in all 3 of the categories. And that's why Northwestern might just make a run, hopefully they do, coming up in the NCAA tournament. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, Lawrence, thank you. And we'll see what happens for the number 9 overall seed Cats as they host Oakland Friday at 3:30 p.m. But when we come back, our very own Bradley Locker will join the program to break down all the scenarios for the baseball team to make the Big Ten tournament.
Worried about your friend but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR. It's all good if you think you should check in. Yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Welcome back to Sports Night. Northwestern Baseball is trying to make a push for their first conference tournament appearance in 5 years. Lawrence, feel free to take it away.
After a dominant 21-8 win over Milwaukee Tuesday, Wildcats baseball returned home to face the Purdue Boilermakers and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Sitting on the bubble for a spot in the Big Ten tournament for the first time since 2017. Let's see how the Cats fared. Final homestand of the year for the Cats, and they're taking on the Purdue Boilermakers. Bottom of the first in game one, Anthony Calarco slaps one into left field, scoring Patrick Herrera from second, giving NU the early lead. But they would not hold on to their lead for long. Purdue's Curtis Washington hits a chopper, but Bianchina ranges to his left, spins, makes the throw, but Washington is able to beat out the throw at first because Calarco comes off the bag to make the catch. Later in the contest, Kobe Mo leaves one over the plate, and Cam Thompson makes him pay. He knows it's gone, Mo knows it's gone, everyone knows it's gone. Final for the game one, 14-8. And we move on to game two, where the bat stayed hot for the Cats. First inning must be their favorite. Jay Bashirs rips one to left, scoring Patrick Herrera from third. Bashirs was 2 for 4 on the day with a walk as well. On to the top of the fifth, and this is where NU really started to pour it on. Starting with a 2-run bomb from Calarco. I call that a little Apo Taco work. Increasing the lead to 5. Calarco had an incredibly productive day with 4 RBIs off 3 hits. And the very next batter, Bashirs, he orders his own Apo Taco Deluxe, back-to-back jacks, but this time out to right field. As DJ Khaled says, another one. Next inning, Calarco, again, another left field long ball. He extends the lead out to 7. The Cats weren't done just yet, though. Tommy DeLeese coming up. The senior, he gets in on the action here in the bottom of the 7th. He sends one deep. Purdue had no answer for the Cats and pitcher Michael Farinelli. NU wins 11-1. Now, on to the rubber match game 3, and the Cats struggled to bring the momentum from last game to this one. Steve Ramirez gets a hold of one against Grant Comstock with a 2-run home run. Ramirez with 2 hits on the day. The Boilermakers built a solid lead, tacking on 3 more in the 6th, but in the 8th, Stephen Rush just clobbers one to deep right for a stand-up double and run, but it wasn't enough to catch their opponent. Purdue takes game 3, 7-2. NU capped off his homestand with the final home game of the year on Tuesday against the number 13 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. With the bases loaded, Spencer Myers gets one past Vincent Bianchina, allowing 2 runs to score, extending Notre Dame's lead to 3. And here's a wild play, a not top 10, but at the same time a top 10 play as Jack Brannigan bear crawls his way to the plate to steal home. Even got some coverage from MLB.com. Afterwards, it was all fighting Irish. Calarco's rope into right center wasn't enough. Wildcats lose their final home game of the year, 14-4 in 7 innings. Northwestern is currently in their regular season finale or final swing against Minnesota. Currently, the score is 5-4 Northwestern leads. And now we welcome Inside NU Baseball beat writer Bradley Locker onto the desk to talk a little bit more about baseball. Bradley, how are we doing, my man?
Doing well, Lawrence. Thanks so much for having me here.
Yesterday, you had a feature release on Northwestern's website, or Northwestern first-year pitcher Sean Sullivan. What did you learn about the lefty?
Yeah, Lawrence, well, I think one of the first things I learned, and one of the most surprising things I learned about Sullivan is there really wasn't a lot of interest in Sullivan before the pandemic started. He had one offer from Tufts University in nearby Massachusetts, and then all of a sudden he filmed this jerry-rigged pitching video in his backyard with his dad. All of a sudden he explodes, gets 15 to 20 offers. He comes back after a year at prep school. He pitches a dominant season at Tabor, and all of a sudden he really picks up the steam and obviously commits to Northwestern. He had multiple top 25 offers, though, and he picked the Cats over all those teams. And I think Sean still keeps a chip on his shoulder. He feels like he was overlooked. He doesn't necessarily feel like he's the most athletic guy in the weight room, but he still obviously is super dominant at the Big Ten level in his first year. And I think that's been probably the most impressive thing to me, and probably the thing that I at least expected to know about him.
Excellent stuff. Now, though Sullivan has struggled in his last few starts, how confident are you that he can turn it around?
Well, Lawrence, I am pretty confident in Sean that he should be able to turn it around against Minnesota this weekend. I believe he will pitch either tomorrow or Sunday. And Sullivan, he has kind of rocky in his last 3 starts. It goes back to April 29th. Sullivan went just 2.2 innings at Maryland, giving up 8 earned runs in his last 2 starts against Ohio State and Purdue. The Southpaw surrendered 4 runs against the Buckeyes and the same number against the Boilermakers in 3.1 innings last weekend. So definitely has been rocky for Sullivan. And the big issue has been walks. He has 3 walks in 3 of his last 4 starts. If Sullivan can consistently throw strikes and confidently, as he has all year, he should be able to do well against Minnesota. Minnesota is tied for the 4th fewest walks, or I should say has the 4th fewest walks in the Big Ten. So things line up for Sullivan to do pretty well and against this dismal Minnesota team.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on the ace. Obviously, Northwestern season's on the line this weekend in Minneapolis. Can you take us through the different scenarios? I know you got some.
Most definitely, Lawrence. It gets quite complicated, but the Big Ten really is a logjam this year. And Northwestern, it's important to start with a context. Hitting this weekend, Northwestern is entering the weekend 10th in the Big Ten standings. Every team plays its final 3 games. Ohio State not playing any Big Ten contests, so they will not qualify. But the Big Ten is totally a logjam. There are just 4 games separating number 5 Penn State and number 11 Michigan State. The Cats enter, as I said, in 10th. They're 3 back of Penn State, 2 behind Michigan, Indiana, and Purdue. And even though Northwestern and Nebraska are both 8-13 in conference play, the Huskers have a better record against common Big Ten opponents, giving the Huskers an advantage, as those are the 4 teams to watch for the Wildcats' sake. If Northwestern is swept in Minnesota, and very unlikely, but I guess somewhat possible outcome, then the Wildcats are eliminated, and the same would go if Josh Reynolds' team only wins 1, as the Wildcats would sit at 9-15 in conference play. That means that Northwestern has to win at least 2 games to have a chance at making the Big Ten tournament. We'll take you through those situations. Let's start with the situation in which Reynolds and co. do win just 2 of those 3 games against the Gophers. In that case, Northwestern would be 10-14 in conference play. The Wildcats would need 2 of these 3 things to happen. The first one would be against Michigan State. Nebraska would have to win just 1 or 0 of those games. Northwestern has to win 1 more game than Nebraska does, as both those teams have the same record. Then Indiana would have to be swept by 3rd place Iowa on the road, or Purdue would have to lose all 3 against number 15 Maryland. Maryland is dominating Purdue right now, so I guess an advantage for Northwestern. And even if Michigan is swept, both teams would be 10-14, but the Wolverines have a better winning percentage against common opponents in the conference, and that would do Northwestern no favors. However, if the Cats are able to sweep Minnesota, things should be much more in their favor. Northwestern would need only 2 of these outcomes to happen. 5 of them are listed. First one would be if Nebraska wins only 2 games against Michigan State. That would give the Wildcats a higher seed. But if Nebraska does sweep as well as Northwestern, then that would take that offer off the table, as Northwestern and Nebraska would have the same record, but Nebraska obviously has the tiebreaker. Another option would be Michigan playing against third-place Rutgers to be swept, as well as Penn State to lose all 3 games against Illinois at home. Another option would be Purdue to lose or to win no more than 1 game against Maryland this weekend, or for Indiana to win 0 or 1 games in its series against Iowa. The Wildcats would make it into the tournament and be in the top 8 if the 2 of those 5 outcomes were to happen and transpire. The Wildcats would make it for the first time since 2017, as we talked about, as the odds are much more in their favor if they are able to sweep Minnesota. You only need 2 of the 4 or 5 as opposed to 2 of the 3, Lawrence. So a lot at stake, obviously, here.
No question. There's a lot at stake. What are your predictions for what will happen this weekend?
Well, Lawrence, as much as I would love to be optimistic about this team, it has lost its last 3 Big Ten series and hasn't swept a 3-game set against a conference foe all year. For as much as I would like to see the Wildcats win all 3 in Minnesota, I just can't see it happening. I'll have them taking 2 of 3 up north, as even though, let's go to the other series. Maryland hasn't lost a game since May 8th, but I do think Purdue will end up winning 1 of these 3 games. The Boilermakers currently in the top 8. And then going to the other series with Indiana at Iowa, I do know that I think Jeff Mercer and Indiana know what's at stake, trying to stay alive in this Big Ten race. And I think that Hoosiers end up taking at least 1 of the games, and that would mean that Northwestern would not be able to qualify for the tournament, as 2 of those conditions would not be met. I don't see either Purdue or Indiana getting swept, so I think Northwestern has to win 3, and I don't see them doing that. So I unfortunately expect a very heartbreaking finish for this baseball team.
Heartbreaking finish indeed. Thank you for coming, Bradley. And we do actually have an update on the game. Northwestern leads 6-5 in the top of the 5th after a Ruben Fontes bomb.
Alrighty, folks, hold on now. Don't y'all go anywhere. We still got your favorite plays of the week coming up after the break.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for the sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
You already know what time it is. It's what makes the game so good, what makes the crowd go, ooh, ah. It's time for Plays of the Week.
At number 3, Jill Girardi hits her defender with the size up and takes it to her left, putting the ball in the back of the net.
And now coming in at number 2, Michael Farinelli finishes off his complete game gem with a strikeout at K to put the Purdue Boilermakers away in Game 2. Although this was the only win for the Cats this weekend, it was Michael Farinelli's best outing of the season.
And at number 1, who else other than legendary Lauren Gilbert? Look at her take the opening draw control and score the first goal of the game within just the first 10 seconds of the match. Northwestern, after defeating Syracuse today, is headed to Baltimore to face the winner of North Carolina and Stony Brook in the semifinals.
Well, that's going to do it for us in the studio for me and my boy Ryan. But be sure to follow us on Twitter at NNN Sports, on Instagram at NNN_sports, and you can catch all our previous shows and coverage on YouTube at NNN Sports. For Ryan Choe, I'm Lawrence Price. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on Sportsnight. Good night.